Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Up until now, all the polls have shown that come the general election for Westminster, the SNP would lose a lot of seats. They'd be going across to Labour, but they would maintain the biggest, by far, the biggest party of all the Scottish seats. Obviously, it's not as big as Labour in total if you take in all the seats in England and Wales combined, but purely in terms of the Scottish seats, the SNP would, up until now, have still been the biggest party at Westminster. However, the latest poll shows that in actual fact they would no longer be in that position, and it would be Labour as the single biggest party in the Scottish Westminster seats. Now that would mean that the SNP are effectively a minority government in the Scottish Parliament and in the minority of Scottish seats in the Westminster Parliament. How can they claim to have legitimacy? How can they claim to be the party of the people when more people vote against them than for them in both chambers? It seems that there is a bit of a democracy gap, this strange dichotomy about being in power but having no authority and no legitimacy. The only way around it, of course, would be for Humza Yousaf to call an election for the Scottish Parliament and go to the people and ask the people for a mandate. But he won't do that because he knows A, he'd lose, and B, he hasn't got the spine. And so the people of Scotland are stuck with a failing government with no legitimacy and with no democratic mandate to be in power. Let's look at this article and just see how bad it could be. Here goes. So Humza Yousaf and the SNP on course for a devastating general election loss, with over 20 MPs to be booted out of Westminster. The Nats have suffered a huge poll blow after it emerged they would fall into second place in Scotland behind Scottish Labour. It can guarantee Jackie Baillie, Dame Jackie Baillie as we now call her, will be rolling in the aisles laughing her socks off at this news. It's like a double win-win for her, isn't it? Humza Yousaf is already facing a humiliating defeat as SNP leader after a new poll suggested the Nats will win fewer seats than Labour at the next general election. That's because everyone in Scotland, apart from the absolute SNP Nat Loon Brigade, has seen them for what they are. Serial failures, dangerous, damaging. They attack people who don't need to be, the defenceless, the vulnerable. They are a nasty bit of work. They're corrupt to hell. And then they're watching all their senior members getting arrested and questioned, and they're still not off the hook. And there's at least 2 more investigations, one of a sexual nature and one of a crime against humanity, perhaps, with the way that they dealt with people with COVID going into care homes deliberately. But I honestly still think that was done deliberately to knock out some old people to try and save some money on care costs. And that's a question that needs to be discovered. Anyway, the survey suggests that the SNP will hold on to just 21 seats from 45, compared with Labour on 26. And that will be disastrous, both for the SNP but also for Humza Yousaf personally. It will show that people do not want to have anything to do with him. The analysis suggests both parties will finish on the same vote share of about 34%, which will be a 5% drop for the SNP since March, meaning the SNP has squandered the huge lead it held over Sir Keir Starmer's party in 2019. And the poll also suggests the Scottish Conservatives will add a solitary seat to their 7, dashing the SNP's hope of gaining seats in the North East. Well, they've already ruined the North East. There's 2 things they've done. One is this fishing malarkey, where they're going to try and put in basically extra protections into certain areas. It will decimate an already beleaguered fishing industry. And then, of course, they keep going on about having to end their reliance on on oil and gas. What do they think powers the economic powerhouse that is Aberdeen? And the whole of the North East benefits absolutely from what comes out of Aberdeen. Aberdeen is the powerhouse of the North East of Scotland. And they want to end that. They want to make people impoverished and miserable. But hey, they can be virtuous about it. But they haven't come up yet with a single idea of what they're going to do to replace oil in terms of oil products. As in, not fuel. Ignore the fuel. There's 6,000 things, at least 6,000 things that require oil. You know, they haven't come up with a viable alternative. And they won't, because we all know they are morons. Anyway, the Lib Dems will also see an increase to 5 MPs as the Unionist parties fight back against the nationalist tide. And in a further blow for the First Minister, his rival Kate Forbes is more popular among Scots. Well, of course she is. Just a quarter of voters think he is doing a good job, with 37 who think Mr Yousaf is performing poorly. I think he's appallingly bad. On the question of independence, 50% of those polls would back the Union, with just 44% wanting separation, with the rest not knowing. So it's still very, very strongly Union, because the vast majority of Scots know which side their bread is buttered on. And they also know making trading with your single biggest trading partner really difficult is not a good or wise move. The poll was conducted by a panel based on behalf of the Sunday Times. Scottish Labour Deputy Leader Jackie Bailey said the polls are clear. Labour has ended the SNP stranglehold on Scottish politics and is fighting to win seats across the country. The people of Scotland know that only Labour can kick the Tories out and deliver the change we need. All the SNP offer is more chaos and sleaze. Well, that's all they've got. Sleaze and chaos, and both of them in vast amounts. They can't even do sleaze properly. This is how stupid they are. They can't even hide their sleaze. They just open with their sleaze because it's just there. Envelopes filled with cash and all that. And so yeah, it is. The game's over. He knows it. He absolutely knows he is done. He could be the last leader of the SNP though, and that would be the best. That would be the ultimate humiliation. Is that he is the last leader of the SNP, because after that it's gone, it's dissipated, it's bankrupt, it's morally bankrupt, but financially bankrupt and gone. And that would be a win for everyone. Anyway, I'm rounding off and I'm coming up. Of course, that's the poll result now, as it stands at this moment. And as time goes on and more revelations come out and more things are uncovered, more sleaze, more scandal, more cover-ups of misdemeanours, more blatant criminality, and it'll all come out. As time goes on, the support will dwindle further, and instead of being only, say, 21 seats, they could be down to 18 or 16, and it could even be down even lower. It doesn't take a big swing now from where you are. Now, you've already had the swing, but it doesn't take much of a bigger swing, and you probably start to take out 2 or 3 more seats, and that would be the utter end. Imagine, for example, they only got, say, 10 seats. They'll have nowhere to go. They wouldn't even be seen as a full party, could they? If one of them's ill that day, they're in single figures. It is absolutely a joke, and it's not unachievable. The people of Scotland can do this. If everyone from every other party, it doesn't matter what party, if you go out and vote and do it tactically, look who is the strongest alternative. And even if you have to hold your nose and vote Tory, or hold your nose and vote Labour if it's the other way around, or God forbid you vote for the Lib Dems, right? Go out, see who the strong candidate in your area is that isn't SNP, and lend them your vote. For one parliament, lend them your vote. And eradicate the SNP, and then it would just fall apart. It would be absolutely stunning. This will be we all know Labour's going to win the next election. That isn't even in question. But for me, it is the share of the vote for the SNP. I want to see that at least halved. At least halved. I mean, a few lost deposits are possible, and it would be totally embarrassing. Anyway. You dream on, don't you, of things like that. But that'll do anyway. So I'll finish there. Thank you very much for... See, I'll take the laughter out of my voice now. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. Definitely subscribe, though. We're up there. We're getting there. We're in the last little knock-ins to get to 5,000. And there's a lot of you that watch and that haven't subscribed, and it would really help if you could just hit that button and then you're done. But we'll get a little bit nearer to that 5,000 target, and that'd be super. Anyway, thank you very much. I'll see you next time.